What up, 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 America? What's good? It's your boy Rod and Don in the building. We are here again for another episode of Brooklyn Beards and Ball Sports Show. Listen, we got so much to cover. We got some good NBA games. We getting down to the wire as far as playoff seeding in the NFL. So we got a lot to cover today. But before we jump into this, we need you to do us a favor. We need you to smash that like button. Please make sure you like the video. Then we need you to subscribe. We need you to hit that notification button so it says all. So everything that we got popping up here, you will be notified about. Listen, the show is popping. D, what's good with you, bro? You ready to do this, man, or what?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready, man. Week 16, it's going to be really interesting. We're going to see what some teams are truly made of. Yeah, I'm looking forward to destroying you again this week. But without further ado, let's get into it, man.
Let's do it.
As we stated, week 16 is already here.
Yep.
Sad news for myself. I didn't mention this before. I was doing so well in fantasy, right? And I beat myself. You know, it's a L all the same. I got too cute with a substitution and I put Chris Moore in instead of Jerick McKinnon. Don't ask me why, but Jerick McKinnon went off, and as a result, I lost and was eliminated from not one, but two of my final fantasy leagues.
Wow.
And so, hey, I was a little down. I haven't been watching football the same for a few days, especially bogus games like last night. There's no need for me to watch the Jets and the Jaguars. The Jaguars those Jaguars did something last week.
The Jaguars, right?
Right. They did something on Sunday, so we can't just look over them and just be like, oh, for me, and the type of teams that I would be focusing on being a Niners fan, I didn't watch them other than Robert Saleh. The fact that he's getting a kind of a raw deal based on the quarterback play. There's talk that they're in interest and they'll be in the market to try to get Jimmy G if he's interested.
Well, they got to do something
because Zach Wilson is not it. He's not it. He's not it. Clearly,
even
the whole
that came in for him yesterday actually played pretty much better than him. The guy that they brought in off the bench, kind of like
Rod. If you came in, Rod, you would be the team would be more in tune with you than they are with Zach Wilson.
I agree. I totally agree. Yeah,
they've checked out. They've checked out, and I don't see it as it's impossible for him to win that team back. I think he should just go elsewhere, start over. And we'll see what happens. But we're not even discussing that. Let's talk about some real games.
Let's talk about some real games.
First game we're going to talk about is the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yep.
Now, fortunate and lucky for you that the Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is hurt. He has some kind of, and I know you only play who you play, right? You only play who's on the field. Jalen Hurts is hurt, and so they're going to start Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
And Gardner Minshew, I guess about 2 years ago, has had some pretty good success when he was given the opportunity. He has some mobility. He has a decent arm. And of course, all the other skill players on the Eagles are still playing, right? They're actually getting Dallas Goedert back. So between the receivers, the running game, yes, they're going to lose something in the running game because Gardner Minshew is not going to be able to run like Jalen Hurts. Let's be clear with that. But I say all this to say there's two things, because the first question is, outside of Jalen Hurts being hurt, right? And I'm trying to being injured. I'll say this. Jalen Hurts being injured, he was, the prohibited favorite to be the MVP. Now people are now starting to say, well, he's hurt. Now he's not going to be, the MVP is contention is starting to lose some steam. My question to you is, if they lose, right? is losing the best thing and it justifies the Eagles' dominance, or if Gardner Minshew somehow and the Eagles beat the Cowboys, two things. That is a huge, huge blow to the, that has to be a huge blow to the Cowboys psyche as to how are we measuring up? Because Jalen Hurts is, as much as people say, well, he's not a throwing quarterback, and people try to pull away from, you know, or his skills or what he brings to the table, he's very much the offense. So my question to you is, number one, if you guys lose to Minshew, Gardner Minshew, what does that say about the Cowboys? Number two, if Minshew wins, what does that say about Jalen Hurts and the Eagles? Floor is yours.
Well, I'll do the latter. If and this is a huge if the Eagles are to lose, let me again doing the latter part. When the Eagles lose, because Gardner Minshew, I mean, we played him last year too against the Eagles, and it was a 51-26 outcome. So not worried about Gardner Minshew. In fact, actually, to the contrary, Mr. D, his arm sucks. He has no arm. Okay, he can't throw the ball downfield. He's a dinker dunker kind of guy. The same. He's high. He you know what he reminds me of, a Ryan Fitzpatrick type of guy. You know, he comes in, he rallies the troops a little bit, but you know, and he's had some success. I mean, he's an in and out kind of starter, right? He's a guy that's a bridge, like a Teddy. It's the pun, but you know, the truth of the matter is that if they happen to lose this game, which they will, without Jalen Hurts, yes, I think that further validates his position as the league MVP. I mean, the league MVP to me, and I think when you look at basketball and football, it's always been a bit convoluted, right? It's this conundrum between is it the guy who makes his team really better, or is it the guy who plays on an already good team, and can that team win without him? There's always this back and forth about it, right? Because are you the most valuable player on your team, or are you the best player on your team? And it's always that talk about, you know, there's a difference between a valuable guy and the best guy on the team, right? And I think with Jalen Hurts, you have to say he's kind of like both. So, and I think Miles Sanders is having a phenomenal season, is in elected to the Pro Bowl in the way in which he has been, because of the fact that Hurts is a threat to run. So I think that opens it up for Miles Sanders. So in my opinion, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts is legit. He can throw the ball. There was a lot of talk about him in his early career because he's a running type quarterback, of course. But I think this offense and what Sirianni has done with them, and obviously with AJ Brown, I think it's legit for them and for him as far as being an MVP. And it will speak volumes when they lose this game without Jalen Hurts, that's how important he is to this team. And so he is the MVP. But as far as the Cowboys go, look, this game is a little tricky for Dallas. Dallas has to come out here because of the fact that we played so closely against lesser opponents, and the competition level hasn't been what it should be, but Dallas always seems to play down to it. We got to make a statement in this game. We really do. I think if we win this game, but it's really close, and Dallas still looks a little shaky, and we're not really at that optimum level of performance like we need to be, particularly when you're getting ready to get into the playoffs, that's going to be a lot of problems for my Cowboys. And so I'm looking for us not to dominate, because Philly is still a good team, but at the same time too, I think we need to be able to do something and kind of make a statement. But it's going to be hard. We don't have LVE, our starting middle linebacker. That's huge. You know, but matter of fact, most of our linebackers have not been playing well. We still don't have a good corner right now because we benched Kelvin Joseph, but Joseph is in competition now with some of the other guys that we brought in just recently, and Nashawn Wright is okay, but we got a weak link on the other side. So look for the Eagles to attack that. And so I think we might struggle a little bit defensively, but it is a good thing that we don't have to over worry about the RPO as far as with Gardner Minshew, because he's not Jalen Hurts in that sense. But Dallas needs to really make a statement in this game. We really do. And if we get a good lead at some point, we're going to definitely have to start, we're going to have to pin our ears down and get guys involved. It's going to be tough because we're still playing kind of with a lot of injuries right now. So McCarthy is trying to be careful. And then we got Tennessee, 5 days later. So it's a lot to consider. But we do need to make a statement in this game.
It sounds like a lot of excuses. I'm going to be honest. That was a whole lot of...
It's reality.
You went from... You
You
went
say that.
from Rod. You went from I'm not worried about Gardner Minshew
I'm not.
to we beat them last time when Gardner Minshew was there, fifty
Yeah, we
twenty
did.
six or whatever.
We did.
Okay, so then nobody wants to hear about your defensive players that are hurt. If it just stand on what you
But they
believe.
still
If
got
they're
guys.
gonna blow them out,
That wasn't the same Eagle team. I mean, in fairness, and that's the point I failed to make. That wasn't the same Eagles team we beat last year.
right? So what makes you think that you're gonna, even with Gardner Minshew? Yeah, obviously it's a step down from Jalen Hurts, but what makes you think you got
And AJ Brown and the
that
defense we got, they don't have the same players that they had last year that they have this year. It's a different Eagles team.
it's a better Eagles team?
Yeah, right. Well, that's my point. I mean, we beat Gardner Minshew with a lesser team, if you will.
But yet your confidence is still very high that the Cowboys are going to make a statement win. This is what I don't understand.
No, I said we need to make a statement win. I don't think I'm not saying we're going to go in this game and crush it, but we do need to make a statement win. We can't look like we looked against the first half against the Colts and what we did against Jacksonville, giving up a 17-point lead. And even in the first half of the Thanksgiving game against the Giants. I mean, Dallas has a tendency to play down to its opponents. But I tell you what, that might actually be the inverse, because when we do play teams that are really good, for some reason, Dallas gets up for them. So I could be wrong. Look, I'm just bringing out the inconsistencies of my team. But I mean, I'm confident that we'll win. You know, I'm sure
you were confident. Were you confident that they would beat Jacksonville?
To be quite honest with you,
well, you said, whoa. You gave them a 10-point. You said that they were going to win by 10 points. That sounds like confidence to me. I said that Dallas was going to win by 3 points, if I remember correctly, maybe 27-24, something like that. So it was 3 points. So my confidence level was kind of matching pretty much what the outcome was, right? I thought Dallas would win, but it would be close. And Dallas lost, and it was close. I mean, 40-34 is relatively a close game. But when you get confident and you say, no, it's going to be 10 points. And there's no question about it. It's going to be 10 points. And they lose.
Yeah.
That you're going into it, you're making the same mistake going into it thinking that Gardner Minshew and that Eagles offense, we're not even talking about the defensive side of the ball. Because once again, the Eagles, with who they have outside of Jalen Hurts, is good enough. If Dak turns the ball over, you guys are going to lose the game. Let's be crystal clear about that. You guys, I don't want to talk like Umar, but I want to repeat this 3 times because he always, will lose the game.
He wants you to get it in.
You will lose the game. I mean, you will lose the game. I don't want to do that. But what I'm saying is, ultimately, regardless of who you play, right? Because Minshew, yes, he's not as good as Dak. He's not as good as Jalen Hurts. But they're not going to ask him for much because he's surrounded by really great skilled players. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, who they didn't have, they got that back.
Right. Well, we play well against tight ends. Tight ends don't ever get off on us in the league. We're one of the best teams against tight ends. Tight ends don't do well against us.
I love it.
And Goddard didn't do nothing the last time we played him.
Because if you guys happen to lose, if you lose, or even if it's close, it's the same.
Well,
it's a statement win.
Are what, 12-1? So if it's close, there's a problem. I mean, that's the best team in football. Being close is not a problem.
So people are seeing the flip flopping in you now, right? Because there is no confidence really in what Dallas can do, and because you're
okay. Let me just put it to you this way. This game depends upon, it ain't even about the Eagles, right? Because the Eagles, for all intents and purposes, have been somewhat consistent. They play close games. They lost to Washington. They got a close game against the Colts. We've seen they even struggled against Chicago. But for the most part, they've been consistent. The Cowboys are the team that we don't know what we're going to get sometimes from week to week. The teams that Dallas should be blowing out, they don't blow out. Then the teams that you think that they're going to have some real trouble with, be closely contested, that's the teams we end up. Cincinnati, even though that game kind of went down to the wire again, but Dallas wasn't really expected to win that game. Now with a backup quarterback. Remember, we were 4-1 with Cooper Rush, and even the Rams early in the year, and we didn't know what the Rams would be that early in the season. And then we pound on the Minnesota Vikings, but then we struggle, right? We lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, for crying out. And yes, I know they're an up-and-coming team, but the reality is that this game is predicated on the team the Cowboys will put on the field. That's the problem with the Cowboys. I don't know what team we're going to get. So it all really depends. But I mean, again, I think we should win this game because Jalen Hurts is not playing. And Gardner Minshew, to me, is that X factor that the Cowboys should be able to win the game simply because he's starting. That's all I'm saying. I didn't flip-flop. Okay. I didn't vacillate. I didn't go back and forth.
You are a little bit. You're flip-flopping between. You started off with, it sounded like supreme confidence, and that quickly changed to, but we got, all these injuries. So what I want to do is I want to lock you down with a score.
Let me ask you something. Your team, the Niners, right, who we're going to get to right now in a second, right? Your Niners were 4-4 at one. You was at one point in this season, you were below 500, right? The first quarter of the season or so, you guys are under 500. Why was that? Because you had significant injuries on defense, right? A lot of your guys was out. And so now that you're healthy,
we were also dealing with, really significant injuries. The quarterback position. You've had Dak has been back, right? And let's talk about this, because you a few weeks ago you were talking about this. Since Dak has been back, you said that where did you rank as far as points, offensive output?
We were number 1 in the league as far as points.
And since Dak has been back, where is Dak statistically with interceptions?
He has actually now 10. He's got 10 picks.
Where is he rank? I need a number. Where is he rank since he's been back?
I don't have the numbers in front.
He's number 1. I'll help you.
Oh, is that what it is?
He's number 1. He's number 1. So let's talk all number 1s, right? Okay. Since you want to just kind of showcase and highlight.
Dak, though. I mean, you got interceptions, but Dak only has lost 2 games since he's been back.
Okay.
I mean, his record still stands legit.
But who did he lose to?
He's only lost 2 games. We lost to Green Bay.
Okay, after having a 14-point lead,
but it's not
about winning
defense.
It's not about, did he turn the ball over
early in that game? Not towards the end of that game.
So let me ask you a question. If you're running a marathon, right, and you catch a cramp or a Charlie horse, or you blow your Achilles out, does that affect the ending of the game? I mean, that's a little.
It does. I don't know. I don't know if that analogy works.
All right. So you're acting as if someone turning the ball over in the beginning doesn't ultimately affect the outcome of the game.
No, not if you still up by 14. If you threw 2 picks, it's like, okay, you guys gave up a big play, right? First play of the game in Miami with the Dolphins, right? But how much did that affect you guys at the end of it all, right?
Did they score points
because of when it happened?
My question is, did they score points off of those turnovers? The answer is yes.
Yes, but we still.
So those points would not be there. Those points would not be there because you gave Aaron Rodgers a short field. So yes, it at the end of the game, even if it happened the first minute, right? Sherfield, you referenced the Niners Miami game. Sherfield slant 70 yards touchdown, right? And then at the end, and then as the game progressed, it was a complete shutdown, right? So my point is, if Sherfield would have done that, and ultimately we had lost the game, that would have been part of the reason we lost. We gave up a big play to start, and we couldn't get traction, or that took the wind out of our sails.
It's kind of hard to say that because it's too early in the game. Like, games are pretty much decided, right? I mean, you could always look back at the turn of events in a game and say, okay, had that not happened, or if this didn't happen, or maybe if we converted that third down, or we didn't turn the ball over then. In the first half of a game, and again, it depends upon a lot of different dynamics. But if you turn the ball over in the first half, like the Cowboys did against the Packers, and one of those interceptions was when we was in actually the in the red zone. So when they got that interception, they took it back to like almost half field, which still gives them some relatively good field position. But you still have a 14-point lead midway through the third quarter. You still got to win that game. And what I'm saying is,
Zach and Dak, you want Dak to be Zach, where he doesn't take any accountability for causing or making the defense work harder.
No.
Because if
the offense do have to step up. No, I mean, listen. Dallas offensively, the defense carried us the first half of the year. Now the offense needs to step up, which they have not done, really. Even though we had a 17-point lead in that game, that defense should have held us. We're talking about Jacksonville right now. The Cowboys defense does have to step up. In theory, I get your point. But you talk about the interceptions by Dak, and you're saying if Dak throws some interceptions, we could lose this game against the Eagles. Well, that may not necessarily be true. I mean, he's thrown 10 interceptions since he got back. But he's only lost 2 games since he's been back. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he still has a winning record, and we are a 10-win team. And so, I mean, you know, the argument doesn't have a lot of substance to it in that sense. But other than the fact, and a lot of those interceptions with Dak, by the way, misreads, receivers, Noah Brown, ball bouncing off his chest. Ball was clearly in his hands against the Jacksonville game. So that wasn't on Dak, okay? I know statistically it's on Dak, but a lot of those interceptions, balls popping off guys' hands. We saw it in the Colts game. We saw it again in Jacksonville. We saw it with the Giants. Listen, it's not all Dak, okay? It's not all his fault. But
Zach Wilson would love you. Zach Wilson would listen. Zach Wilson would love you because that type of approach to the quarterback turning the ball over and teams, whether they even get a field goal out of it or a touchdown, that makes it a harder job for the defense. But you know, that's cool. If you think it's fine, if you think it doesn't really, if it happens early in the game, it doesn't affect it. It's all about possessions, right? So you're losing those possessions, and a team is turning is now cashing in a turnover into some type of points. So, but that's fine. Let's hear it
on this.
Okay,
you're right. You know why you're right? Because you understand this better than anybody. Jimmy Garoppolo has done this to you guys for the last several years. So maybe you're right. Maybe interceptions at some point in the game, possessions, having to put the defense in a bad position. You know what? You just might be right. Because if there's anybody that understands the crucial implications of turnovers in a game, it definitely would be a 49er fan. So I agree. You're right. Okay. I agree. Yes.
However you want to try to jab and hit below the belt and try to do all that, that's cool. It does not matter. I'm just saying, whether it's the Niners, whether it's the Cowboys, whether it's the lingerie football team, it doesn't matter. If you throw the ball, if you throw interceptions, it affects your team.
It does.
Any way you cut it. CFL, it does not matter.
We have more turnovers than Jacksonville, and they still beat us. They had 3 turnovers in that game, and they still won.
Yeah, but if you throw a pick 6, I mean,
again,
just think about it. If you threw those interceptions and you gave them life, there was obviously, like you said, it was a complete team loss, right? So there was clock management, there was play calling that would have forced them to take timeouts. All of that kind of together, equated to a loss. But that's neither here nor there. You cannot say that if a person turns the ball over, no matter when it happens in the game, that it doesn't adversely affect it, unless you match turnover for turnover and the point differential based off of that is a wash. Because if you lose by a field goal and they got a turnover and they scored the 3 points, well, that's the reason. Forget any other play that happened, because that 3 points that they scored off of a turnover wouldn't have existed if you protected the ball. But we'll agree to disagree.
Okay.
Let's get a score, because I loved it. I want you to.
This is your favorite part of these segments. I see.
I do.
Getting the score. Yeah, you love to get the scores. Yeah. I feel you, which is good. Which is good. So Dallas, I've got Dallas winning the game. Only because, again, no, you know what? I'm not even going to play into your hands right now. So let me just give my score. No, I'm going to give my score. Dallas. It's going to be 26-21 Dallas.
26-21. So you have them winning and also covering, because I think they're 4-point favorites.
Yeah.
Based off the fact that Gardner Minshew is the quarterback instead of
which Vegas already knew that like Sunday night, because Dallas was already a 1-point favorite Sunday night in that game. So they already knew that Hurts wasn't going to play.
Cool. So you got them 26-21. That was what you said?
Yep, 26-21.
Okay, 26-21. Okay. I have the Cowboys on upset alert. Cowboys are going to lose this game. I'm going to tell you that.
Upset alert.
I got the Cowboys losing 27-17.
Okay.
Eagles are going to win.
Wow.
Eagles winning.
So that's 10 points to you is like, now 10 points to me is not a blowout, but 10 points to you is a blowout.
Let me tell you why it's a blowout.
Let
me tell you why it's even a bigger blowout. I have them winning by 10 points with a backup quarterback. So that backup quarterback is at least worth another 7 points.
It's not happening.
The fact that he's playing. So I have you guys losing this week. And it doesn't matter if it's 1 point. If you lose to Gardner Minshew, the next show is going to be painful. More painful than losing to Goldilocks.
Yeah,
from the Jaguars, because he's up and coming. He's So we'll see what happens.
Because you know why that game would be painful? The next show would be painful, D, because we would I don't think we're going to beat the Titans because we're not going to play a lot of our starters. So this game is important. We just need to beat the game. We need to win this game because it's the Eagles. Simple.
And then you won't. And then you were already trying to say that you won't win against the Commanders because you're going to be resting everybody, right?
Yeah, we'll be resting everybody. And the Commanders won't have anything to play for anyway.
They're going to lose. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated.
Anyway, they're going to get eliminated. Your 49ers aren't going to lose to them.
No, we're not. We won't lose. Okay, so that was I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go right to the Niners and the Commanders, right?
Okay.
Fresh off of the Pro Bowl spots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They had the nerve to snub CMC.
Rightfully so.
Well, I think for what he's done, the only way it makes sense is because he was on two different teams. And the first team he was on, being Carolina, was trash. But if you base it off of what he's done, his numbers, even coming in and coming from another team, are still better than Miles Sanders. I mean, he is light years better than them. His impact has been greater. I mean, I think he has 10 touchdowns. So there was nothing to sneeze at, even if you just took into account his 49ers numbers. But I get it. I don't know what the cutoff point is. Clearly, if they just made the Pro Bowl selections now, the cutoff couldn't have been prior to him coming to the Niners. So I get it. But I say all that to say that should be even a greater motivation for all of the Niners Greenlaw, who should have been on the Pro Bowl, that got snubbed. This is going to be Brock Purdy. No, I'm just joking. He's not. But listen, this is the 49ers who got snubbed. They should be even more encouraged by, hey, listen, our work is going to speak for itself. We got the Commanders this week. And I think really, I won't say, just like I said with other games, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think what the Niners are trying to do from a philosophy is get a big lead, play aggressive in the beginning, and then once our defense we won't give up a 17-point lead if we have one, right? Other teams will do that. Tampa Bay, they'll give up a 17-point lead. The Colts will give up a 33-point lead. The Cowboys will give up a 17-point lead, 14-point lead, respectively. We won't do that. So I think Kyle Shanahan's philosophy will be start fast, start early, get the points up, and then let the defense do their work, and then just continue to run the ball. You get Mason in there, CMC, you get off first, 25, 30 plays, get yours, receiving and out of the backfield. Once we get a nice, comfortable, substantial lead, then we just run the ball out, let the defense play, and we just keep it moving from there. What do you say?
Well, look, y'all are going to beat them, but I think you're kind of underestimating the defense of the Redskins. The Washington Commanders. They are the third best defense overall in the league. And I think this is a test for old Purdy cat. I think Purdy is going to certainly be tested in this defense. because Washington can put some pressure, and they're not bad. They only give up just over 100 yards, about 111 yards rushing, but they're third overall defense in the league. So I think this is going to be a good test for your offense. Again, Miami's got a good defense, and again, y'all scored points in that game. That game was close for a good while. I think it was more about the inefficiency, though, of Miami's offense in that game that caused, again, you guys to do what you needed to do.
Well, we had a little something to do with that. We had something to do with it.
Well, your defense
causing them to be inefficient.
Your defense has something to do with that. But your offense has not really gone up against a really good defense for the first time. At least Purdy's going to see that, right? He's going to see a good. I mean, Tampa sucks. Okay, they're deep. They can't stop. They can't stop a stop sign, and the stop sign doesn't even move. Okay, they can't stop that. They I can't remember, you had Miami, as I just stated, but it was because of the field position, and again, the way y'all defense was able to stifle their offense. Their defense, it definitely took them all out of rhythm and so forth. But again, this is going to be a good test. But again, I'm saying all that to maybe add a little color to this preview, because at the end of the day, it's not going to matter. I hate the Commanders, so I want you guys to beat the Commanders. And I hope you beat them really good. Doesn't matter to me, because their playoff hopes will certainly come into its full reality, as it should be, because the Commanders are just not a good team offensively. They can't score. They are completely inept on offense, and against that defense, it's not going to even it's going to be. It might look kind of New York Jetish when it's all said and done. So yeah, that's just how I see it. I mean, really, and they got good receivers and everything, but they just they might as well. He's gonna look like Heineke might look a little bit like Zach Wilson when it's all said and done. So yeah, but the Niners.
But you still have some doubt about Brock Purdy, right?
Well, yeah, I do, because I don't know what he's gonna do. Here's the key.
Questioning him, I'll just say this. Questioning him is questioning Deebo Samuel, CMC, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. That's what you can look around. But
why is it?
Because he does not have to put up ridiculous numbers. No, you're acting as if he has to throw for 400 yards, run for a touchdown, throw 3 or 4 touchdowns, and put up 400 yards. He doesn't have to do that.
I'm going to tell you why. But here's the key. Remember, and we said this before, D, a couple of weeks ago. It's not about statistics. We both know that he doesn't have to throw up 400 yards and score and throw 4 touchdowns. But he's going to have to make a throw. And that's the difference. Jimmy Garoppolo is a starter, got paid starter money. And all they needed Jimmy to do was manage the offense, Jimmy. Hand the ball off. You got Deebo, you got Ayuk, you got Uchek, you got Kittles. Just let this plethora of talent do what it needs to do. But guess what? That's not going to win you a Super Bowl. At some point, your quarterback is going to need to make a throw. And Jimmy couldn't make a throw. And what makes you think is going to be any different with Mr. Irrelevant now having to play coming into the playoffs? At some point, he's going to need to be a quarterback.
And you're assuming that he won't be able to make that play based on what?
Because he hasn't done it yet. That's why. There's no evidence. There's no evidence.
Okay, so what does that
mean? We don't know.
The fact that you have not seen it, what does that have to do with the fact that he can't do it?
Well, because if we haven't,
because if we base off what we see, we can go by Dak Prescott, 7 years in the league,
right?
Inconsistent, the most inopportune time, very similar to Jimmy G, very similar to Kirk Cousins. He will throw that pick that you don't need, and then he has. Not really. That's not true, though. That's not true. And then let me tell you, I'm going to tell what people to look out for. Look out for when Dak has his mouth open like this. That's when you know it's all downhill. He has his when he has that.
Yes. But Dak, when you look at Dak historically in playoffs, Dak has actually put up very good numbers in the playoffs. He's not like Romo, who would throw crucial interceptions at crucial times. Now, that was Romo's mystique. But Dak has not been that quarterback like that. Now, Dak is not, we know he's not the Breezes and the Mannings and the Bradys and the Rodgers of the world. He's not even Mahomes or Josh Allen. But Dak, when you look at how the Cowboys have lost their playoff games, Dak has actually played very well. He has. It was usually the stupid play calling or something defensively that ended up not going our way. And when I say not going our way, in other words, we didn't play well defensively. Okay, so again, because that game, even against the Rams, when we lost to them in the playoffs back in 2018, again, that wasn't on Dak. Dak plays very well, actually, in the crunch moments. Now, he would throw a pick or two in the game, maybe, or he'll make a bad read, I'll admit. But when it comes down to it, Dak has not made a crucial throw that would have caused them the game. Not when the stakes are high.
But based on what you said, throwing a pick in the game doesn't affect the outcome of the game, right? That's what you're saying. We're not going to beat a dead horse on that.
The pick happened. Okay, you got to put it in context. Depends upon when the pick happened.
It doesn't have to be the last play of the game for it to affect the outcome of the game. It doesn't. I think if you turn the ball over during the playoffs or during a game, teams are. I mean, you spoke of how closely the teams are as far as the competition, the level of competition. It's very close. So if you give a team that you feel is already competitive on par with your team, unless you're extremely dominant, right? If you're on par with a team and it's nip and tuck and it's possession by possession, giving them extra possessions will ultimately be costly and reduces your chances of actually winning the game. I don't understand why that is a hard concept for you.
Because not all turnovers are created equal.
I agree with that. So
if they're not all created equal, then that means that its implications or its ramifications are not going to fall the same way. I mean, an interception in the first half or the first quarter even of a game is not as critical as it would be in the fourth quarter, where your possessions now are really more critical. Converting third downs, a lot more critical. By that time, you're in a flow of a game. Yeah, I mean, you're in an aspect of the game where the flow of that game dictates play calling, right? How well are you running the ball by the fourth quarter? Who's involved, in your receiving core? Has your defense been able to stop the run? I mean, what their weaknesses look like? Because if the defense is not playing well, you might be forced to have to throw now on a 3rd and 2 or on your own side of the field for that matter, because you don't want to give the ball back to the offense because your defense is not going to stop them. So everything plays a role in those turnovers when they happen. So I mean, I think you're making a lot out of an interception in midway through the second quarter, as opposed to anywhere between the midway to the third going into the midway to the fourth quarter. I mean, you can't say that every interception or fumble is going to impact the outcome of a game if it's that early in the game. I mean, come on. Oh, and by the way, your defense actually did make Dak look really bad last year. That was the one game. His quarterback rating in his first 2 playoff games prior to that, Dak played very well, 103-91, but only a 69 against your 49ers. He was 23.
And I'll give you another example.
Yeah.
When we played against Green Bay, if you remember that game, where Aaron Rodgers had tunnel vision and was only trying to pass the ball to Devontae, and we got that block punt.
Yeah.
And we ran it in. That was the only offensive score. So turnovers, those type of things that happen, and that wasn't early in the game. That was, I don't know if that was in the midpoint. I don't know if it was second half.
In that case, yeah, you're right about that, because your offense never was able to score. Your offense played bad. So that turnover, and again, you had to rely either on special teams or defense, right? As you guys always have to do. You got to rely on your defense to create something, or your special team to create something. So in that sense, yeah. But Dallas's offense is not as inept, as say, the 49ers in some cases. I mean, y'all offense is really good. You got a really good offense. Don't get me wrong.
What are you saying? You okay?
You put up points. Y'all don't be putting up a lot of points.
Who would you rather have? Let's go skill player for skill player.
Okay.
Your skill players are better than ours?
On this roster, no, it is not.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
But not by a large margin.
By a large margin.
How so?
Okay.
How so? How so?
So you got So you got your number one is CD Lamb, right? Pound for pound, is he better than Debo Samuel? Just a simple yes or no. And if the answer is no to that, then the rest of it we don't even have to go through.
No.
If you if your best offensive player,
it's only because of how Debo was used. I mean, Debo is an overall better football player than CD Lamb. Yes,
of course he is.
Yeah,
and
he
now
is.
we want to talk now. Do you want to talk about CMC being better than both of your running backs? Because he clearly is. He does.
I don't necessarily.
He does with both of your.
He's an injury-prone player who's been injured most of his career. CMC is great out of the backfield. I don't think he's that much better than Pollard.
Okay, Pollard, who has 15 touches a game. Like you're the one that said,
and he's a Pro Bowler this year, by the way.
Right,
and
which
he has the same amount of yards as CMC. He does
not.
Yards.
He doesn't have more all-purpose yards than CMC. He does not. So my question is
because of the way CMC is used. I agree.
So if you only touch the ball 15 times, right, and Pollard is leading in yards per touch, right? I think like six yards. I like Tony Pollard. No knock on him. But he does not do what CMC does or can do.
He doesn't.
Okay, and we know Zeke ain't doing nothing. Except
Zeke is not the same
Zeke
player.
is going to in next year, if you guys still have Zeke, they're going to have a step ladder by that Salvation Army bucket. He's going to need help stepping into it. So let's not talk about Zeke, okay? Because Zeke he's on his last leg. So so we've already covered the running back position. Now your number 2 receiver is your number 2 receiver better than Brandon Ayuk?
What I'm saying, okay, let's stop the bleeding now.
Okay, all right, let's stop it.
Okay, let's stop the bleeding. No question about it. But the way y'all play the way your offense is designed, it's not about putting up a lot of points because you don't have to, because your defense is so legit. So you don't need to, like Dallas has to sometimes put up. Not that our defense can't hold, but again, we the way our offense goes, we run, we'll throw. Dak goes down the field with the ball. Y'all don't throw down the field. Like Garoppolo is not throwing bombs, all right? He's not throwing like 30-yard crossing routes and post and your guys are running post routes. You don't have guys like that. Debo's going to get a handoff and run for 30 yards. CMC is going to catch a screen and run for 60 yards.
I think Brandon Ayuk can open it up.
After the catch.
Yeah, I mean, our team is big on yak. We're big on yak. Not cone, not the cognac, but we big on yak. Yards after the catch, right? So we are clear leaving this segment that we understand that the 49ers have better skill players than the Cowboys. Just so we're clear on that. Okay, cool.
But y'all don't score points like Dallas, though. Is it different? Because the way the offense is set up, there's a difference. That's all. You got better skill players, but y'all ain't blowing nobody out.
So if we have better skill players, wouldn't it be safe to say that if we wanted to, right? Because I'll take this off to NBA, right? LeBron James is soon, within the next 25 games, going to pass Kareem, right?
Right.
If LeBron focused on just scoring, do you think he could have passed Kareem a long time ago? But his game is multi-layered, right? Assists, rebounds, facilitating, all that. He's not just focused on scoring. That is our team is a kind of a Swiss Army knife type of team that we can beat you in multiple ways, to include the defense shutting you down. If we need to, we are very content with winning a 20-17 game, because or a 20 to 3 game, because we shut you down, we scored, we were efficient. A lot of times it's a lot of what Dak does is he puts up points after the game is already done. You're not accounting for that. Those late touchdowns that will not change the outcome of the game, where it looks good on stat. Oh, he had 400 yards and he threw 3 touchdowns, but they still lost by 2. They still lost by 10 points. Those things in a total number in the big picture of how much a team scores, those add to it. But ultimately, we're very, very happy with winning a lower scoring game where we were, for the whole game, we dominated.
But okay, Now let me just give you these stats very quickly. Y'all ranked number 7 in total offense. Dallas is ranked number 9. Y'all currently only have 8 more total offensive yards than what we have. Y'all have 5,080. Dallas has 5,072. You have your total offense per game that y'all average is 363 yards. We average 362. Y'all have your rushing yards per game is 229 for 49ers, 217 for Dallas. I'm sorry, passing. Excuse me, that's passing. Rushing is y'all rush for 133 yards a game. Dallas rushes for 145 yards a game. And the 49ers score an average of 24 points per game, and Dallas scores 28 points a game. Y'all are ranked the total offense 7, and we'll rank 9. So for all the great skill players that you just named, we got Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig, we got Brent Jones, we got
You're missing the point.
Steve Young. At the end of the day, y'all offense still is not that much better than ours. Because why? It's all about the system that you run. But yeah, on paper, you got better athletes.
If you scored all those points in garbage time, it still adds up to your statistically.
Oh my Lord!
So Dallas
doesn't garbage points every game. I mean, some games, yeah, Minnesota, the Colts, but there's a lot of games where the points do matter. I mean, we're not. All right.
So with those 2 games, that is at least, I don't know, 50 points where you guys, where the game was already done and you put on an additional 50 points between both of those games. Because the Colts game alone, you scored 33, was it in the second half or the fourth quarter?
Before I think it was, I think it was the second half. No, the fourth quarter. No.
My point exactly. The Colts had no opportunity to win that game. So that's just piling on. So
but that's what I gave you statistical averages for the year. So I'm saying you could say the same. I don't know in detail all of the 49ers and how your scoring barrages went, but I mean it's still an average. At the end of the day, it all balances out. So I'm just saying, it's your offense. You got better skill players, but your offense don't score more points. It's because the way Shanahan runs, he runs the ball a lot. His quarterbacks don't throw, only when it's necessary. And y'all don't go for big. Y'all not a home run team like that.
We'll see how it all turns out. At the end of the day, listen, it could be turtle in the hair. That's fine. It could be turtle in the hair. We'll see. We know how that story ends, right? So whether and now all of a sudden, Dak Prescott is this guy that just bombs away all these. He's a great quarterback now. It's cool.
No, I never said that. I never said he was a great quarterback. Dak
doesn't move the ball.
Dak is an above average quarterback. He's above average, and he's a franchise quarterback. Franchise by pay,
Franchise by need, right? Franchise by them waiting, where they could have gotten Dak a lot cheaper, waiting, kicking the can, and then they wind up overpaying because at that point there was a complete quarterback drought.
You don't think Dak Prescott is a franchise quarterback? You don't think that the Jets would love to have a Dak Prescott, or even the Commanders wouldn't want him as a quarterback? You mean to tell me the Steelers couldn't use a Dak Prescott? You mean to tell me that you don't think Dak Prescott is a franchise quarterback? I'm not saying he's Josh or Mahomes or Brady.
You named 3 teams.
Rodgers, he is a franchise quarterback.
You named three teams that Dak would be an upgrade to that particular team. I'm not saying Dak is not a good quarterback, but he's a
good to above. He's a good is above average, right? So Dak he's not with the elite, but he's
top 15
in the realm of a good quarterback.
He's top 15 quarterback.
Then that's a franchise. He's a franchise quarterback for all intents and purposes.
He can be top 30 and be a franchise quarterback, right? No,
because I'm gonna tell you why. Think about it. Does the Commanders have a franchise quarterback yet? The Giants don't even have a franchise quarterback yet, right? They're top 30. Those are not franchise quarterbacks at all. And Tua we just found out this year that he's a franchise quarterback, right? And he's been a starter in and out for the most part. Got bid for Ryan Fitzpatrick, for crying out loud, a couple of times.
These quarterbacks,
franchise.
these quarterbacks are just coming into their 4th and 5th year, still under their rookie contract. Are you equating a franchise quarterback as getting a team investing and them getting a big payday? Because Daniel Jones, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, but that doesn't mean that if they make some kind of moves in the playoffs and they get a little deep, they may be inclined to give him, unless they see something.
So you think Daniel Jones is a quarterback for the Giants for at least the next 10 years? Because a franchise quarterback, you're looking at least 10 to 12 years for that quarterback to play for your team.
No, he's not.
You think Daniel Jones is going to be with the Giants that long?
No, I don't
Regardless
think so.
Regardless of what he does, he's not a franchise quarterback. Dak led his team into the playoffs. First year he was there, 13-3. And he's been in the playoffs three years of the 7 years he's played. So I think that even Kirk Cousins, as garbage as he is on national TV, you still got his, for all intents and purposes, he's still a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's just not an elite.
I think
Niners, y'all don't have a franchise quarterback.
I think Dak is 15 and Kirk Cousins is 14. Let's go on to the next thing.
Let's go. I know. See,
all right.
You sucking me in, man. I don't even want to be talking about this that long.
We were going to talk about the Giants and Vikings. And real quick, this is all we want to say. This game is going to be determined.
Giants fan.
No, I'm not a Giants fan. But I think we both feel, you more so than me, that we feel, especially on the Giants part, that these teams are fraudulent, right? So It's going to be interesting to see. Before we do that, let's just go back real quick. We didn't get the score from you for the Niners and Commanders.
Oh, Niners and Commanders. I say actually, I'm gonna go 24-6.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I did very similar to my score. I like the Niners 24-10.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be, a convincing victory.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's move on to Giants real quick. Giants, who helped you clinch last week. We'll give them their flowers while they can smell them, right? They helped you clinch, right? They're playing the Vikings, who Vikings are inconsistent. They came back from 33 points, but Jeff Saturday did some stupid stuff, and Matt Ryan got benched now, and now they're bringing in Nick Foles. Long story short, both of these teams we feel are fraudulent, but at the end of the day, they're both at this point playoff teams. Yep. So I'm not really interested in who wins or loses, and I know we're bringing this topic up, and I know you hate every moment of it, but I just want to get your take on these two teams. I mean, this is the battle of the two playoff fraudulent teams. What do you say?
I say that they are just what we said they are. They're fraudulent. They're both whack. They're both inconsistent. I actually have the Giants winning this game because of the inconsistency of the Vikings. I think the Vikings, now I talked about how inconsistent my Cowboys can be, and I don't know which team you can see from week to week, but we still know the Cowboys are a more formidable opponent, and they're much better, in my opinion. Not because I'm a fan, but I do think they're a better team than the Vikings. The Vikings are really, they're not, they're a good team. They got 11 wins, right? I mean, the record says what it says, but anybody that watches football and knows the game knows that this team is not legit. They're not real. And the Giants are deplorable, okay, as an offensive unit. They are bad, okay? They have like 0 receivers. Saquon is all they have. Daniel Jones is a quarterback. Well, I think from what it seems, he's done a little bit better protecting the ball on the fumbles. But this is a bad team. They just find a way to win. They take on the nature of their head coach. They're gritty, and so they'll find a way to win. I do think they'll beat the Vikings because the Vikings will find a way to just be who they are, and they're going to just end up losing the game somehow. But they're just two bad teams, and neither one of them will go far in the playoffs. Because I do think the Giants could get that 7th seed over the Commanders, because the Commanders are going to be done after Sunday. So that's it. So yeah, that's my take on them.
Okay, I like it. I like it. You have a score? You want to score this game, or you don't have 0-0?
1-0 Giants.
Wow. My goodness.
I'm just kidding.
My goodness.
Yo, America, I'm always messing with D, man, in pre-production, because for some reason, the Giants can be playing, with Potter's house. they could be playing. It don't matter. D's going to get him in here because every game.
Giants are playing the Globetrotters, and I want to get
and he'll be like, "Yo, this game is significant. Has playoff implications."
I mean, we do have to discuss the playoff teams. I mean, at this point, we do.
The teams in the hunt, they deserve to be talked about. They do.
I would rather input this segment than talk about the Lakers.
Say it again. I didn't hear that. Say it again.
I would rather put this segment in than talk about the Lakers.
I would too.
Because at least these teams are playoff teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're gonna waste time, let's not waste time talking about the Lakers.
Listen, my Lakers are bad. I won't waste time talking about the Lakers. At least not right now, until some more news comes up, until a trade.
Exactly. And there's no trade to come. There's no trade.
You got it. Keep talking about the Giants.
All right. So exactly. Now you want to talk about the Giants. All right, but real quick, I think I do like the Giants to win too. I think it's going to be 21-17 Giants.
21-17 Giants. Yeah, I kind of like it. I'm gonna go 23. I'm gonna go 23-20 because the Vikings always make it interesting. Sometimes
23-20. Okay.
20, yeah.
Let's go to the NBA real quick.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about the NBA. We got a really good game coming up, and let me just say this real quick, quietly, but not so quietly anymore. The Nets are playing some good ball, and you may say, "Oh, well, the level of competition, who you're playing, we just play who's on the schedule, right?" And the Warriors. They didn't come out and play yay, right? Warriors came to Brooklyn, and we beat them by 1,000 points.
Yep, you did.
91 points in the first half. We were on our way to a 200. We were about to put up 200 on them.
200, I like that.
They had to remove get everybody out of there. Get clear the bench. We get all the starters out. 200. So you're gonna tell me that even with Steph Curry, that outcome would have been any different? Well, no, I can't believe that.
Not? They didn't have Klay Thompson or Andrew Wiggins either. I mean, it wasn't just not Steph not playing. I mean, Klay and Wiggins didn't play either. There's no way y'all winning that game by as many points as you did.
Kyrie didn't play,
and Steph Curry's playing. Are you trying to say that they would have won that game to the level that they did?
No, not to the level. Of course not. But of course, Kyrie didn't play either. He had some calf tightness.
Yeah, Kyrie was out too.
Okay, so that's 30 points right there. That would have.
Well, that's okay. That's a good argument. It would have been a 200 itself out. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So
I'm not mad.
Wiggins hasn't been out. Wiggins is their most important player on the Warriors, even more than Steph. He's a two-way player. He's consistent. I'm not saying Steph isn't, but once again, I said this 3 months ago, 2 months ago, whenever we started, Draymond has to go. He has to go. He is taking down that team. And now he's a little more apologetic about, I made a mistake and I shouldn't have punched. But when that team is bridging, and we're going to get back to the Nets real quick. But when that team is bridging between veteran players and up-and-coming players that can be molded and keep that championship rolling, and you punch one of the new stars and knock him out, right? Pretty much, his legs. What does that say? Because Steph and Klay, right? Yeah. They didn't outwardly denounce what he did, right? Nor did the organization. They just go home. Go play with your daughter and come back later. Right. So what does that say to the Wisemans and the Kumingas? You got to think about that. That is a toxic nature. And I was talking to one of my boys about this. There's no way that the camera person went rogue and they didn't know. The camera person was standing right next to Poole when he got punched. It was like,
right. Yeah.
So they knew the Warriors released that. Believe me, they know who did it.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
They didn't fire anybody because how they handled it. Draymond's not getting an extension. This is his last year, and like I said, and I predicted, I don't think he's going to make it past the trade deadline. I think they're going to move him. Yeah. And at this point, with the team losing, that might be even more of a catalyst. Hey, let's try to, interchange some parts. I will say this: Draymond goes to any other team, he does not. You don't see the same Draymond. You don't see the same production. He does not bring to the table the same thing he does for the Warriors. I mean,
totally
taking the ball and spinning around and handing it off to one of the best shooters and letting them shoot.
Yeah,
you can't just. It's not a plug and play. You're not going to just go to another team.
But you're not totally undermining his importance, like with their dynasty, right? I mean,
with that dynasty, he is vitally important.
Okay,
but you go to any other team, and he's just another guy.
He's not the same guy he was in terms of his importance with this team. But overall, I mean, Draymond was just as equally important. I won't say equally important, but he was important to their championship runs,
and arguably he cost them another ring.
Yeah. When he got suspended, yeah.
So but let's get back to a winning team. We're not, because we already said we're not talking about the Lakers. We're not talking about the losing Warriors. Let's talk about the winning Nets, Brooklyn Nets. Okay, Brooklyn is balling out. Okay, we beat the Warriors by 3,000 points. We beat everybody that we're facing. Now we have a pretty difficult game. With it's a good measuring stick. Our next 2 games, we play the Bucks, and then we play Cleveland. This is for you. We play them the day after Christmas, right? Yep. So I think we are going to handle business tonight. They're rested, right? Because it's not exactly a back-to-back, right? So they had a day off. They made light work of the Warriors. By the way, the Warriors lost by 200 points against the Knicks just the day before they played us. I mean, so they're spiraling out of control. The Warriors are in some serious trouble. Everybody thinks that championship teams can just turn it on, turn it off. If there is something that is cancerous in that team, that has to be cut out. There has to be excavation. You got to pluck him out, get him out of there, and then try to rebuild. But I think Draymond is a problem. I think that they have to, and I don't know him personally, obviously, but I think overall, how he handled it, how the organization handled it, I think it left it had to have left a bad taste in those young guys' mouths. How they handled
I guess
it.
That's why Wiseman went to the D League, right? I guess, or the G League rather.
Listen, Wiseman to a large degree is underachieving, but he played pretty good against us. I mean, he was playing against our,
that's what I'm trying
the water
to say.
boy, but he put up 30 points, and he has size. He has shown that he's a good player, but you have to give them respect. Just because you're accomplished doesn't take away from the fact that you have to respect them, as being up and coming. That's just my opinion on that.
I agree. I think what's happening is that the younger players. I'll just make this real quick. Now I get to your Nets. The Warriors' younger players are good, but they are not at that level where they can carry the team without the stars. And so when Steph and Clay are not there, it becomes very difficult. Jordan Poole is a very good player, but he's not that dude. He's not a guy that's going to carry them and get them on a winning streak and put up, start averaging 28 a game and that kind of thing and shoot 50-something% from the field with regularity. The team is built around Steph and Clay. And so when those guys are not there, the younger guys struggle. And they're good guys. They developed them well. I give a lot of credit to Golden State's ability to develop their young players, but they haven't developed them to the sense that they can really be able to get other stars to that level when the true superstars are not there. So, but again, I don't believe that they're under any duress. I do think this team is going to turn around come the second half of the season. Steph gets healthy. Trust me, we've counted this team out a long time ago too, about a couple of years ago as well, right? No one thought they would even win another championship since KD's departure. Well, they have, and they're still playing good basketball. And when Steph is healthy, you're going to have to prepare to stop him, and he makes the world of a difference. Now, your Nets, I'm only going to say one thing about your Nets. The Nets are 5-6 against teams with winning records. That's all I'm going to say. So it's nice that y'all are on you won, 10 of your last 11 games, and you on a streak, and you playing really well and you're blowing out teams by 95 points within the first quarter of a game, that's all great. But again, you got to beat the teams that matter. And right now to this point, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, D, I'm not even putting any real emphasis on that they're only 5-6 against teams with winning records, okay? Because again, the first half of the NBA season, to me, in my mind, it's never meant anything to me. Never. I don't put any stock in the first half of any NBA season. I think it's garbage. I still think guys are learning, growing, chemistry building. You're still working out kinks. They're still trying to get themselves into some kind of rhythm. You don't really know what you're going to be because really you're still assessing players whether or not you're going to even trade them by the trade deadline or not. The second half of the season after the All-Star break, you're going to know what you're dealing with. That's the team you're going to have going into your stretch run. So, but with that being said, 5-6 against winning teams, with teams with winning records, rather. So, you got to keep this in perspective. If I'm you, Don, because I know you don't know a lot about winning championships as an NBA fan. So let me kind of give you a little insight on this. You only look at the games that matter, okay? You look at the games that matter. You see how your team fares against teams that have the potential to be a threat in the playoffs. You got to look at the microcosm, never the macro. You don't get excited because you got on a winning. There's 82 games in a season. You're going to eventually get on a winning streak at some point, right? Every team gets on a real good team is going to have at least good 2, maybe 3 winning streaks, right? But they're going to win 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row. Doesn't mean anything. Who are they playing? Who were the opponents? Where were they at in that space of time when they played against those teams? If they were on the road or maybe there was a lot of home games, you got to look at the microcosm, okay? And I want to help you with this because I know that the Nets haven't won anything, okay? And so I'm trying to give you some insight from a guy who has 17 championship rings, okay? I'm trying to help you out. I want you to understand. And if my man Guy was here, Guy would tell you the same thing. You got to look at the games that matter. So 5-6 against winning opponents. I think you need to be concerned about that. And
I'm starting to see a pattern. I'm starting to see a pattern. You said the first half of a game doesn't matter if someone throws no, I'm getting to it. First half of a game, if someone throws an interception, doesn't matter. The first half of a basketball season doesn't matter. So everything for you is based on the second half.
It's all about the second half.
Okay. I'm just drawing and I'm just making notes so that a couple of weeks from now, a month from now, I'm going to remember this and I'm going to revisit this.
Oh, I know you will.
Just so you are clear on that.
I know.
That's it. So it's all good. So got it. Second half is when it really counts.
Yep.
Dak can throw interceptions. Doesn't matter as long as it's in the first half. Won't affect the ultimate outcome of the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl. Got it. Cool. All right.
That's it. See, I'm trying to help you. I'm just trying to help you understand.
I am here. I'm here for the knowledge. I'm here for it. I appreciate it. Listen. Listen. I don't mind. I don't mind learning. That's what it's important that you learn every day. Something, and you're actually enlightening me on this. And so I don't know, because you're right. The Nets don't have any championships. You're right. This is cool. This is I'm sure Shaq, Kobe, all of the greats, Kareem, all of the Magic. Everyone said the second. It doesn't matter what happens in the beginning of the season. It's the end. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's all that matters. I want you to I'll just say this to you, D. You have to learn how to gauge your excitement. You know what I mean? Like you have to measure the excitement. You know what I mean? Don't get too high, too low. It's still early. You know.
Listen.
You know,
in the great words of Geno Smith, in the beginning of this season, they wrote us off, but we didn't write back. Okay, so I'm going to. After they wrote us off because of the whole Kyrie and all of that, listen, I'm going to enjoy the fact that we are playing winning basketball. I'm going to enjoy the fact that they were talking about teams were scoring 150 points on us a game. And so I'm not going to allow you to diminish our winning streak, especially a team that's not even at 500. So we're 5-6 against winning teams. What are the Lakers against winning teams or teams that they would potentially have to play in the playoffs?
Listen. You right now will always defeat me
I'm
At
listening.
this juncture of the season and the way my team is playing right now, I'm giving you the overall picture of championship mentality, which the Lakers and LeBron and these guys, they understand. Like the Lakers are not going to go anywhere. We know that. You're beating a dead horse on that.
No, it's
So
not being a dead horse because
it's
you know what
it doesn't
what
matter.
they say.
What?
Tread lightly. When we talk about winning, tread lightly. Don't don't go to the deep end of the pool. Stay in the 3 feet. Let
That's
your
what I'm trying to
toes.
teach you to do.
No.
That's what I'm trying to teach you to do. Like,
Because
it's
now that
okay
my
to start
team is
winning, that's nice, but you can't beat the winning team. But you're under 500. What good is that win streak if you can't beat the teams that are
we're
winning?
going 500 today. We're going to be 500 today because the Bucks are in second place. We're going to handle the Bucks today.
We go.
The Bucks going to learn today. And if we lose the show, the Bucks going to learn today.
5-7, right?
Right, exactly. And we'll be 5-7. But listen, you can't let things stop you from in life. This is the Nets, our teams. Just you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. And I like what I see. I don't understand why you want me to be defeated. It is a true statement. Misery loves company. It is a true statement. And I find it even more so today because the Lakers are a miserable organization. They're a miserable team. They're a miserable bottom-feeding team. Right? Well, no, you don't see banners. That's fine. You don't see banners. Banners forthcoming. Banners forthcoming, right?
Banners forthcoming.
Right. Listen. Playoffs, banners forthcoming.
That meant it wasn't never coming.
It was never coming, right? All right, so listen.
Oh gosh.
Let's talk about, speaking of another, because the Knicks and the Nets will always considered the baby brother of the Knicks, right? But obviously that's changing, right? That's changing. The Knicks is always going to be a bigger name, but as it pertains to moving forward and what the team is going to do, I like the Nets' chances moving forward. Starting to make some noise in New York.
Chance of the Knicks. I agree.
But let's talk about another baby brother trying to be, one up big brother. The Mets. The Mets are spending money like they have a stolen credit card. Like, listen, Steve Cohen got a PPP loan and he is paying serious money. I can't believe how much they're paying. Now let's talk about the Mets' success, right? Mets have 2 World Series, 1969, right? 1986. I remember 1986. That was a beautiful time. But Mets now are making some major moves because they are once again tired of, I would imagine, the Yankees stealing the Daily News, the back page of the Daily News and the Post. If they still even have papers anymore, I don't know. It might be even if it's digital.
Actually, they still do in New York. Yeah, they do.
Their payroll, $384 million plus $111.5 million in a luxury tax. No team has ever gone over 350. They are, to this date, $495.5 million.
Wow.
Steve Cohen.
Wow.
He's owned the team since September 14th, 2020, right? Yep. And he's a hedge fund manager. I don't know if he's former or still hedge fund manager, but he has bread, obviously. And he's spending money like you can't believe. Now, my question to you is, because we both are Yankees fans, excuse me. Let me.
See, I know. Go ahead.
I was about to say Lakers.
Right on your tongue.
Because I was thinking of losing. We're transitioning to winning teams. The Mets are a good team, right? They're a good team, right? The Yankees, obviously, now if we talk about the Yankees, 27 championships, right? The last one, they just paid Aaron Judge big money. So they're always making splashes, right? When it comes time to baseball and free agency, all of that stuff, people are always looking at the Yankees because there's no salary cap, right? So these teams can pay whatever they want to pay. But my question to you is, are all of these players, because the Mets are making moves. They got some players, they got some pitching, they lost some, but for the most part, they're rocking out. Will that equate to wins? Or is this guy just spending money and, once once the credit card is spent, he just cuts it up and keeps them moving. What do you say?
Well, I say this. I mean, look, the New York market is tough, right? It always puts owners, general managers, head coaches, players, the star players in particular, under a certain microscope that just adds so much pressure, right? To win and to be competitive at the minimum. And the Mets have been competitive, okay? Mm-hmm. So, they're I think if you're Cohen, this is the time to open up the purse or the pocketbook or the wallet and to get these guys over the hump if you can. Because the Yankees are the Yankees. And like you alluded to and you referenced the comparison between the Knicks and Nets. Clearly the Nets got a better chance of winning a championship right now than the Knicks do, right? But will that mean that they'll usurp the Knicks in terms of popularity and marquee and the mystique and the garden and all the other stuff that comes with New York and the Knicks? Probably not, because the generation is a little bit different as well, right? You still got a lot of old heads that are still going to hold up the Knicks. And I think that's kind of almost what you see with the Knicks. With the Yankees and Mets. But the Mets, they have a bit of a storied franchise. It's amazing that they've only got 2 world championships to their credit as a franchise. But there are a lot of Met fans in New York City. You and I both know that, right? Mets, the orange and blue is everywhere.
And it goes good with Tim's, some construction Tim's.
And it definitely goes good with Tim's.
So that always works. You know what I mean?
And then the Yankees got the fitted. So, they both got their thing that they rock with in New York, right? They both got, that thing that kind of denotes them to be that fan base, right? You could tell the difference between a Met fan and a Yankee fan, and you can see the difference in how they think and how they talk and just those different aspects of being a New Yorker, right? But I think if you're the Mets, this is the time to do that. This is the time to kind of be George Steinbrenner-ish, and that was always his motto. He was going to just buy the best players you can buy. If your market can afford it, which clearly the New York market can, this is the time to do it. And a lot of teams are doing it. These numbers are outrageous when you look at what these guys are making and with no salary cap, right? And there's a lot of teams that would love a salary cap because they'll feel that the smaller market teams will have a better chance to compete. But at the end of the day, having a lot of money and paying a huge payroll, even with all these luxury taxes, still doesn't equate to championships. We still see smaller market teams win. Look at Houston, right? Even though they're cheaters in my mind, and they always will be. I think they should have forfeited their ring. But nevertheless, these smaller market teams can still win because at the end of the day, you still going to have good coaching, good players, and that's what you're going to need. But I'm not mad at Cohen and what he's doing. To answer your question, this is the time to do it. The Mets are very relative. They're a team that can win. And if you're going to spend the money now and do it. And you got to compete with New York, right? So, with the Yankees. So you got to do what you got to do. I don't think they'll have more capital than the Yankees when it's all said and done because the Yankees just can generate more money than because Cohen can't pay these guys out of his own pocket, right? It's got to come from monies that are generated through the team. If I got that right, I'm not sure exactly.
Well, we don't know what he's doing under the table. We don't know what Mattress Mac in Houston is doing because he's somehow ain't that many mattresses in the world that he's able to make these ridiculous $10 million bets on them. So we don't know what they're doing. There might be a little hit, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. There might be some extra money being passed around. But like you said, I just think for a smaller market team, when it's frustrating because when you can, really Cohen is saying, the old saying, you got to pay to play. He is paying to play. So he's trying to, as far as free agency is concerned, he's knocking it out the park. He has some big names. And time will tell if it equates to W's or not. Or if it's just a lot of high paid players just sitting around collecting a check. Time will tell.
Time will tell. The smart ones know how to make money and keep their teams relative without even having to win a lot of championships, a la Jerry Jones, right?
Exactly.
And even the Yankees for that matter. It's been a while since the Yankees won.
Right.
2009, that's a long time.
That's
a
long
time. So for the Yankees, that's a good drought for them. So, but they're still relative because they're New York. So
yeah. But listen, man, this was a fantastic show.
Yes, it was.
Listen, I 12 round. I think you are punch drunk from all the beating, the punches and the beating that you took over this show. I will say this, man. It's going to be interesting moving forward into the playoffs and beyond. If at any point we do the show and that side of the screen is black, like that it's empty, or it's just a silhouette of you, and I'm talking, I don't mind. I will have a show with your silhouette. If you want to be in witness protection and you want to change your voice, the Cowboys, we'll do that too. Right. We'll do all of that. Whatever we need to do, because I know time is going to come that one of us, and hopefully it's not me, one of us is going to have to go into hiding. Once our team, unless we win the Super Bowl, and this is the thing, if our team wins the Super Bowl, then of course, listen, it's all good. If we face each other in NFC Championship game, which I don't think will be possible, right? Because one of us is going to knock each other off. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That should be.
I tell you what, I will be a silhouette if we lose in the first round of the playoffs. I'm going to tell you, D, I'm going to be so devastatingly hurt.
You should be a silhouette if you lose to Gardner Minshew tomorrow.
No, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about Gardner Minshew. If we lose that game, trust me, I'll find something in that game to justify.
Of course you will. Of course you will.
You know what I mean?
Of course
but not the first round of the playoffs. We can't lose in the first round. That can't happen. Okay? I got to at least get to the second round.
I'll say this because we know the Donspiracy. If you play Tampa Bay, there is a chance. There is a chance. If they want,
you know what? That'll be my out.
Of course they will. No, but you never believe it. So you aren't good. You
that one.
Oh, of course you would. Of course you would believe that. Yes, Donald, I do understand. Yes,
Donald, I do.
Right. It was this. It was this play. Right. But yo, listen, great show. Once again, please like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page.
Yes.
Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. I'm going to do it like a brother Umar. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Oh, man. But in any case.
That don't, right.
Facts. He always does that long. Like, come on, bro.
Right. Yeah.
Bro. But once again, shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music. Once again, Kingdom Creative. Awesome production. What could we do? What would we be without you? And see, you know, when the show goes on too long, then I hope all of this is probably cut out, but it may not be.
I hope so too. But then again, I don't know.
No, it should be. It should be coming.
You know, the page is gonna blow up, and when it blows
up, I don't want Ja Rule. I don't want Ja Rule coming at you. Yo, man, you used 5 seconds of my song. But he's doing commercials for you know. Whatever. Listen, let's get off, man. But yo, good talking to you, man. Happy holidays.
Likewise.
This should be. We'll talk again really soon.
Yes, we
Once
will.
again, like, share, subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, Brooklyn Beards and Ball. Happy holidays. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.